Alright, so with resuming from where we left off, we're going to start with over with Lorthas. So you had, after going through the Bard College to receive some training and some new equipment, you returned to the Order of the Hammer, only to find that your companions had not yet returned. So you crashed in your bunk as you had previously, and it is now morning, and your companions still have not returned.
Where the devil are they? I guess I just pluck at my harp and impatiently look at the door, feeling very lonely and abandoned. Are they still not here?
They're still not there. So further over in town, Genjo and Stanch both wake up from their from the inn, and they've gone downstairs into the main dining area.
Morning. Should we eat here or go look for the frilly elf?
Oh, I had quite a bit last night, but
I lost you.
I could eat if you want to, but I ate a bunch.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should go find him. Maybe we can get something to eat too. You know, Wakanda always has snacks, and we have to meet him too. So
Let's go find Lorthas then.
yeah, let's go do that. See what he's up to, if he's even still here.
Let's ride.
All right. I leave a chocolate mint on the pillow for the. Wait, they're supposed to. That's for me.
Oh,
I think they do that.
Never mind. All right, let's get out of here.
Fuck your chocolate mint.
Say what?
You basically just said fuck your chocolate mint.
well, Genjo is kind of an outcast. I'm not sure if he's used to staying at hotels.
It was the nicest place that I think he's ever been.
I pick up the mint and eat it after he turns.
What are you doing in my bedroom, dude? Get out of here. What do you mean your bedroom? You don't even mean our bedroom? All right, so let's get out of here. All right, so we're heading back to the Order of the Phoenix, Order of the Hammer. Order of the Hammer.
It is Order of the Hammer, yes.
I think Lorthas at this point gets so impatient he starts walking outside.
Alright, so while Genjo and Stanch are making their way across town, Lorthas, as you step outside, you find your guide Tabin outside waiting.
Oh, hello, Tabs. How are you this day, my fine young man?
And just another rough day like normal in this town.
Yes.
I thought I'd stop by because we hadn't seen you in a while. And if I was told you were sleeping and I didn't want to disturb you.
Well, I've been quite into my studies of late. I actually went to an establishment where I learned some things that are not the musical variety necessarily, but I'm sure this interests you to no end.
He says, we must all make improvements, or this land is unforgiving.
Yes. Yes. So where are the boys?
Did we get there by this
Pals,
time?
the chums.
You will be there in just a second. He says, I believe they're actually staying at the inn of the Thundering Lizard.
Okay.
Last night. And that's the last place I left them after drinking last night. And as he goes to turn to show to take Lorthas over there, he does find Stanch and Genjo walking up the street.
Now, before we get to him, I do want to say to him,
And about that last performance with you and Genjo, swords crossed, very Shakespearean, or fantasy Shakespearean. Very fine, would make a fitting play indeed.
He says, who's Shakespeare?
Just don't worry about it. Or you could read a book.
That's great.
And I walk with him to meet up with the party.
Alright, so...
Well, if it isn't
Watch it.
finally showing up,
Well, you know,
where the devil you been?
learning, my dear boy. I'm sure you'd find a college of the Bardic variety fascinating with fierce pikes and music to boot. Dwarves would love that sort of thing. Bring them more culture.
Tavin, how are you doing, buddy?
It's just another rough morning in town.
Is it that Is that your go-to line?
I mean, no need for multiple lines when the first one's the truth.
Ah, touche.
Ooh. I'm sure you're not the bard, Tavin.
Exactly. Have you ever tried the arts, my friend?
I like the art of smashing things.
Oh, I learned that one too. I doubt this dwarf would believe it, or this mysterious compatriot, but I now can smash a couple things too.
So, Lorthas, are you, do you need to go back to the school today, or are you...
No. That whole business is done.
We were gonna set out, take care of a few errands here, and actually get this show on the road, so to speak.
All right. I love.
Yeah, I can't just sit here and say nothing anymore. Like, what the hell are you wearing? You look like you look like you just stuffed yourself inside of some scale mail. What?
This is the fanciest suit of armor I could afford. Well, I mean, no, I could afford better. But it is a very nice suit of armor. You see the engraving of the dragon on the chest?
Well, I mean, granted, I'm sure it'll do better for you than nothing.
All right. Now,
I do
what's
like
that? You have an odd-looking sword and some sort of stone in your pocket there, Stanch?
that stone that I see in your pocket.
It's a large stone. It's poking out a little bit. And I might have X-ray vision on my spell slot. Let me check.
Look, this is I think this is a tool that might
Is
help
that a
us
lucky
big
stone
time.
in your pocket, or?
Are you just happy to see me?
Yeah, I knew that was coming. No, this is just a it's a magical tool I got from Wakanga, and I think it might prove useful. Fine asset.
Well, dwarfs do love their rocks.
I pull out my sword and do a flourish with it and show it to him and let him see that it's, what is it, black engraved with blue runes or something?
Yeah.
And I picture you're doing this like very martial artsy and fancy, right?
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Marvelous, boy, marvelous!
I am Donnie Yenning.
What I've ever seen. And the showmanship. My God, the showmanship.
Yeah, we have to stop by and see Wakanda. He's got another sword for me. Also, we set up a meeting with Syndra for this morning just to check in and see how she's doing. And I want to stop by some church to get this other sword looked at.
Yes, I do
Church
believe
of
that's a good
Thor.
plan of action.
I left the obvious a little bristled by it.
What was that? You broke up a little bit.
So I let the slight against my church slide. Even though it does sort of irk me.
Did I slight your church?
I want to go to some church. The one you've been
Well, it's not your church. It's the Church of Torm. It's the other church.
Oh, is that right? That's right. My bad.
So you kind of smile at that. You do the opposite of bristle.
Yeah. I just don't care.
All right. Well, what's closer? Tobin, you're familiar with the area. What's closer? Is the Church of Torm closer than Wakanda, or what?
I said, yes, the Church of Torm is just to the east over here, near the Thundering Lizard. And Wakanga is like way further up north.
All right. Well, you guys cool if we stop by the church real quick, and then maybe we can grab a bite? Well, no, we can probably eat with Wakanda. He's always got food.
He does
I can always swing in the pub.
Well,
let's
I mean,
go.
you did drink all of Wakanda's finest wine, which I wasn't particularly impressed with.
I see.
All right, well, Tobin, if you don't mind, show me where that place is. I can get in and out hopefully pretty quick.
All right. The Tobin leads you over to the as he starts heading up here to the north. As he passes by Stanch, he says, "I don't know much about the magical arts, but you may want to get that book checked out by your order. It feels wrong."
Oh, that's right. Yes. I studied it last night. Get a more learned eye on it. I'm gonna go talk to Father Adrian for a moment. You can
Okay,
either go or wait. It makes no difference.
He says,
What book is this one again?
We'll meet up at the Thundering Lizard.
Okay. I'll have the boys explain it to you. None of us are quite sure what it is. I'll tell you when
All right, fair enough.
I go in to see the father.
All right. So while the rest of the party heads up this way, towards the church, so you enter the church and you find Father Adrian at his normal post, up near the altar, and he's looking pretty tired and haggard, but he's putting the same devotion in as he does every day.
I think he's dead.
No, I think I was just interrupting his prayer. I just sit there and like, and then just wait till he's done.
We're losing a lot of what you're saying. Is your mic close enough to your mouth?
It should be. I don't know. How about now? I mean, it's right there.
That's
it works.
good. We
It
got
works when you're not in character, which is funny.
Yeah, I think you're like talking quieter for your character, and I think it's just not picking up some of what you're saying. I think.
Weird.
You just have to shout it in a crude.
Well, yeah. Anyways, I'm just waiting for him to be done with his prayers or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't think it picked up where you said anything on my end. So.
No,
all right.
it's just okay.
All right, so a few minutes passes, and you see Adrian get up from the altar, and he turns around, and he sees you there waiting, and he's like, my son, what can I be of assistance today?
You alright, Father? You look exhausted.
And he says, that child required some extensive healing last
Oh
night.
gosh, is she
I,
alright?
She'll pull through, but I got nary a wink of sleep last night. But
Oh my.
a proper and necessary sacrifice to protect an innocent life.
Yes, indeed. I hate to ask you, but can I get one favor?
And he says, anything. What can I do, my child?
I found this book, and it seems almost like it should be part of our learning, or some sort of importance to our order, but it also seems somehow wrong, and I was hoping you could take a look at it.
Alright,
Maybe you'll know more about it than I do.
Alright, so he takes the book from you, and he like immediately recognizes what it is. Like, you can see it click in his face. And there's a little like wavering in his voice. He says, Where did you find this?
We were doing a chore for the Wakanga, the merchant prince, to take care of some cultists in town. We found their all sorts of horrific stuff in there, and this was one of the things we found. And I recognized I should take it, but I didn't recognize.
Alright, so he says, well, you did a great service to the church by bringing this here. This is one of the few lost holy texts of our of our religion. And he starts, as he's speaking, he starts leading you towards the back behind the altar. And he like reaches up like up underneath the altar, and you see him kind of fiddling with something, and a staircase kind of opens up behind the altar and leads downwards.
My gosh.
You follow him downwards, and like you've been in the basement before, because that's where the barracks are. But this is an entirely new wing you've never spotted down there.
Where are we, Father?
He says, "This is our vault for sacred texts and other sacred objects." And so he leads you down there, and he takes you pretty far and back. There's this big room is lined with these shelves filled with ancient tomes and texts and weird little artifacts. And he takes him back, and he picks up a book off of the far shelf. He scrolls through it for a second, and he hands it to you and says, "This is the original text. Well, a copy of the original text. This is what this book should have been. There were several copies of this lost, and this is not trusted to almost anyone.
Wow.
But a few of these copies were lost and corrupted over the years. And for your service to the church in returning such a valuable book, I will in turn let you have this copy of the original.
Oh my goodness.
It's a book that contains very powerful sanctified spells, not normally entrusted to the general order, because they do require strong devotion and sacrifice."
Father, I don't know if I'm equal to the task of wielding this.
It's like, well,
Look.
you managed to not only did you find this book, but you have managed to stave off its corruption. Even though you haven't had it for long, the corrupted versions of these books eat away at you like it's nothing, and it can quite quickly destroy your devotion. The sheer fact that you were able to resist that and bring it to me shows that you are truly a follower, and that you can be trusted with the proper text.
Try not to let you down.
Just, I appreciate it. And he takes the corrupted version of that book, and he puts it in a display case on a shelf, and you can tell it's got some pretty heavy warding on it. Scriptures
Wow.
from your book is written all over it, and as you close it, the seams of it seem to glow bright blue momentarily, and then it goes dim. And he says, "There, this should not be able to leave again." So he leads you back out of the vault. The stairs come back upwards and close behind him. And he says, "Now I would appreciate, though, if you kept this book secret from the rest of the church."
Okay.
This text is only known by a select few.
Okay. I will do that. I don't understand why. Keep it to myself.
Sorry, don't understand what?
I don't understand why, but I will keep it to myself.
Oh. Well, he just
I
said
trust you.
these are heavily sanctified spells. The toll for the unworthy can be fatal.
Oh, okay.
They exact a heavy price.
I see. Okay. I will, yes, your secret, safe with me.
Right. He says, just study them well and use carefully. And
I will. Thank you.
he nods at you, and he kind of he heads back down towards the aisleway, down towards the stairs, back down to the barracks. And you can see that his night's activities have just weighed on him. He's stumbling a little bit.
You need a hand?
He says, "I appreciate it, but I can handle this. I've dealt with worse."
I'll leave you to it then. If you need anything, just let me know.
He says,
We're going to be going into the jungle for... I'll check on you when we get back.
he says, "I appreciate it.
See you, Father.
Have a blessed day, my son."
So I head out and go to meet up with...
All right, so the rest
That
of
was
the
some heavy stuff.
That was pretty cool.
so the rest of the church, the party, has made it down in here. to
yes, we do.
you find an almost plain-looking building, but the door is adorned with a white gauntlet.
So this is the place, huh? Torm?
It says, this is the Church of Torm.
Can I just, like, is the door open, and is there, like, can I just walk up in there, or?
Yeah, you assume like most churches that it's available to access at any time.
Gotcha, okay. Alright, well, I'm gonna walk in and see what I see.
Lorthas does the wrong religious sign on his chest, thinking it's a different religion, and walks in.
Alright, so you enter the Church of Torm, and this church looks vastly different from the other church you were in, the Church of the Hammer. It's a lot more minimalistic. The main area consists of a few pews. It's got an altar and a pulpit for a preacher.
Kind of a drab place, isn't it?
Definitely doesn't stand out like the other one we were at. Do I see anybody around?
Okay, so in the back, you see a door in the back, and as you guys enter and the door closes behind you with a loud thud, the door on the opposite side of you guys open, and out comes this little balding man. He's not fully bald yet, but he can tell he's got like a nice big, almost fist-sized...
Is it like a comb-over going on?
No, he doesn't. It's
Oh.
It oddly looks like he had a mulligan, but now he's got a fist-sized bald spot on the center.
Oh, that's not a good look. Male pattern baldness is funny.
Right, and yeah, he's actually pretty short. He looks to be probably about 5 foot even.
Roger that.
He's got the balding mulligan thing going on, and he walks with a brisk pace up to you guys, and he's like, welcome. We don't get many visitors here at the church. What?
Bald, I mean, nice to meet you.
Bald to
I'm
meet
Lorthas,
you.
but I get it. This is my pal, Genjo. And, Tuin, Tito? What's... I can't remember your name.
He grumbles Tobin.
Ah, yes, Tobin.
Hello, or hi, like you said, my name is Genjo. I'm really not sure. I mean, I know why I'm here. I don't really know much about you guys and your whole situation here, but I'm just gonna pull out my sword in a non-threatening way.
Whoa.
And I'm gonna say this is why I'm here, and I'm gonna kind of show him, not hand it to him, but show him the sword and with the symbol on it and stuff. I was told that somebody here might know more about this sword. The only information I have is apparently Torm made it. I don't know. It's a very priceless heirloom to me, but I'd like to get a little bit more information out of it if you guys have any information on it.
Alright, so he approaches your sword, and as he looks at it, his eyes just kind of light up, and he traces his finger along the symbol and kind of down the blade a little bit, and he says, "Wow, where did you get a hold of this relic?"
It was a gift from the father of a good friend of mine.
He said, "This is an amazing gift. Please have a seat in this pews. I'll be right back." He runs him back through that door for a moment, and after a minute he comes running back out, and he's got like a tome, but it seems like really disheveled, almost. There's like pages sticking out at odd angles as things weren't attached properly. Just very disorganized.
I picture him being played by Christopher Lloyd.
All right, Melton, you have to do Christopher Lloyd voice now.
Great Scott, what a sword!
Jesus Christ.
You never said that.
Great Torm!
Doc Brown never said, Jesus Christ, Marty!
That was me.
This sword generates 1.21 gigawatts. Alright, so he as he approaches it, you see him like sifting through this tome quickly and wildly, like he knows what he's looking for, but he's not quite exactly sure. And he shuffles, and some pages fall out of it and hit the floor, and he just doesn't even bat an eye at it. And says,
Now, while this is going on, Lorthas tries to sit down on Pew, but because of his armor that he's not used to, he can't actually sit down properly, so he has this weird, like, his legs are straight as can be, and he's trying to look comfortable and casual, and it's just not working.
Of course.
And he's
just
loud
like-
as hell, too, because he's
I was gonna say, you're probably like clanking around.
That disadvantage of stealth's really working against you there, isn't it?
I picture the church being dead quiet, too, as that happening.
Yeah, it's echoing and rattling off like every wall of this church. It's like that scene in Men in Black when Will Smith tries to move that table across.
Just everybody praying, like, turns and gives those hateful looks.
Alright, so
you seem to be pretty excited there about this.
and he says, yes, this is a relic I never thought I would see in my time. He finally he like taps a page on his book, and he turns it around and hands it to you. And you see on these pages, it's kind of like a picture storybook almost. And
At least I can understand it.
but it's pretty simplistic. He says, several centuries ago, there was a great necromantic evil that plagued this world. Not unlike what's going on now with this soulmonger. This group had stood up to this great evil, and for their sacrifice, the god Torm blessed their leader's sword with to show that he's behind them and he will support them through this. The story goes that as long as it was imbued with some abilities, and so long as the sword remains unbreakable, it shows that Torm has not abandoned us. And as you're looking through the pictures, you see this wielder, this very generic-looking figure holding what appears to be a sword. In the next panel, you see this hand reaching down from above it and almost like shooting something at the sword, and it kind of like sparking a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Then another panel shows this sword being used to strike down this almost like skeleton monster creature. And the next panel after that shows like a bunch of attempts at breaking the sword. Almost like an attempt to actually break it, and above it you see like the symbol of the white gauntlet above them. Almost.
Okay.
So after showing, he takes the book back and he shuffles through a few more pages, and he says, "Have you managed to awaken any of its abilities?"
To be honest with you, I didn't know it had any abilities, so I guess the answer to that would be no.
Is that-
It served me well. It served me well as a sword.
Can I see that sword again, Genjo? It sounds rather interesting. He's shouting because he can't reach it, and he's trying to reach it, but he can't stand up.
I'm holding it. I'm gonna hold it in my hand, but I'm not gonna hand it to him.
I do a arcane check on it. Batang. Let me figure out how to do that real quick. And that is a 7 or 8. I can't. 8?
It's a 9 because
Oh, is it? Oh,
Or
because
wait,
my thing.
if you don't have proficiency, it will be a 9. If you
I
do,
definitely have perfect.
then it's
proficiency.
not. Then it's still 8.
Okay, so I can tell it's a sword. It's cool looking.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Um,
Moving on.
and he it's like, well, the sword was used to strike down a great necromantic evil. And legend goes that its ability manifests based upon the user as the sword deems it worthy. Are you a follower of Torm by any chance?
I'm not.
You see his eyes dim a little bit. It's like, that would probably explain some things then.
Let me ask you this: am I familiar with Torm? Like, do I know like where my my
Do a
dojo?
religious check.
Yeah, where my I want to know like where the people that I learned and stuff from, were they Tormites?
They're not termites.
Because up to this point, me as Steep, I don't know if they are or not, so I don't know if he knows if they are. You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
a good question, though. Really.
Because I mean, I imagine I would be a follower of Torm if the dojo was, but considering I don't know if the dojo was or not, I don't know if I would be, and therefore I personally have no idea what's going on with Torm. But I feel like my character would if everybody did follow Torm if they had his. You see what I'm saying?
Eyes
So I don't
already
know.
dimmed from sadness, Steep. You don't know Torn. But
So, you do remember that you vaguely do remember that your clan that you had learned from were followers of Torm. But considering your rivalry with the leader's daughter, you had sought a different path and never really learned or followed the ways of Torm.
Gotcha.
So like you recognize the name, but like you never paid attention to any of the teachings.
so he just like knows the basics, but he's not
Right,
about
like just enough to
Torm's-
kind of to fake it when he was around them.
Right.
Gotcha. Cool.
Okay. All right. So if he asks me if I know anything about it, I'll say, yeah, I know a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, that would work. He says, okay, so then have you tried communing with Torm through the sword?
I have not.
And he was like, well, let me try something. So he beckons you over to a nice part, a good empty spot in the floor between the pews, and he pulls out a piece of chalk from his trousers, and he begins adorning the floor with this this intricate arcane circle. And he completes it, and then he steps out of it, and he beckons you to kind of so please kneel in here.
All right, I'll do that.
He says, now take the sword in its sheath and lay it in front of you in this rectangle I have laid out.
I do that.
All right. He said, now place your hands upon the sword, one on the scabbard and one on the handle.
What is this going to do?
He says, we're going to attune the sword to you, almost like a trial for the sword to see if if it deems you worthy.
I've got this. And then
Now, if you don't have this, that's gonna be hilarious. Nope, we're keeping the sword.
Thought it was unbreakable? Nope. Alright, so you do that, and it's like, now close your eyes and focus on the sword. Picture the sword in combat. You wield it. It is an extension of yourself.
I'm doing that.
Alright, so while you're doing that, you don't notice he pulls out, he takes a candle from a nearby candlestick, and he lights the outer ring of this chalk on fire, which is kind of impressive. You didn't think there was flammable chalk. Like, you don't know this, like your eyes are closed, but everyone else in the room can see this.
Lorthas is highly entertained by all this going on.
He says, "All
See
right,
him
now."
stomping his foot, clapping his hands, and he's like,
Yeah, his feet are just like solidly straight, but he's just in awe.
So you are surrounded by evil on all sides. The forces of evil just will not stop assaulting you. But inside you, deep from inside you, you can feel the strength of Torm pulsing through the sword, and by extension, pulsing through you, empowering you, strengthening you.
This is why you say cool, Genjo.
Yeah, he takes your silence as you're focusing.
Yeah.
So he kind of steps over this low flame and sets the next ring on fire. The others around you can see there's 3 rings on this. And then you're like inside the inner circle with little symbols in chalk written around you.
okay.
It says, now, feel this power flow through you and through the sword. You are one with the sword. There is not user and sword. There is just you. And as you continue to focus, he lights the 3rd on fire. And he quickly steps outside the ring. And the fire goes from like a dull red to a bright blue. And you're not only picturing, you can now feel this arcane energy arcing through the sword into you. But as it arcs into you, you feel like really like searing pain. The sword burns to your touch. Can you roll me a Constitution saving throw real fast?
Oh snap! Things are getting hot. No pun intended.
Nice.
I think that pun was totally.
So you with the 24, you push that all thoughts of pain out of your head. You are focused solely on that sword. The pain of the sword it no longer feels hot. It now feels cool to the touch. This arcane energy, the pain subsides in your chest, and the sword kind of it feels more at place in your hands. Nice. Everyone on the outside, they feel they see that the fires die down around Genjo, and
is there just like a lot of smoke like wreathing from it, like epically, as the light shines through the window and reflects off it?
There's a surprise. There's like no smoke left. There's like some ashes on the floor that you see the church leader is like sitting there sweeping up real fast.
All right. So I guess I'll just. So everything's done.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll open my eyes, look around a little bit, and then stand up and grab the sword and stand up, and unsheath the sword, look at it, and like hold it in my hand and evaluate it again.
So you unsheath the sword, and it almost feels like it has a little bit more of like an unearthly glow to it, almost like it's just slightly out of focus to your eyes.
That sounds nauseating.
Everything's in focus. It's just that one spot.
Okay.
It's just that sword is just kind of. It's almost like radiating a little bit.
Okay, that's cool. It's a cool image.
And the father, he takes another look at the sword and says, it has deemed you worthy as a wielder. I know not how the powers will have manifested. That's something you will have to learn for yourself.
All right, well, I am extremely grateful for you to help me out with this, and I'll make sure to continue to stay worthy for it. And then, so I'm going to sheath it, put it back, and then pull out the black sword and ask him if he knows anything about this.
And well, as you're putting the blessed sword away, he says, it is a Torm can be a bit fickle, so yes, do be careful with your actions with the sword, lest you fall out of favor. And all right, so you pull out the the other sword you had picked up in the ruins. And he looks at it, it's like, I don't recognize this craftsmanship.
Yeah, I've been getting that a lot lately. Figured I'd ask. All right, well, I appreciate it, and who knows, you may see me again.
And he says, when you figure things out a bit more, if you wouldn't mind coming back through and telling me so I can add this to our church's documents.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Now, Lorthas clumsily stands up and like grabs Genjo by the shoulder and just says to him like, "Now, I do think we need to research this deity that blessed your sword, because we don't know what his favors are, like what he would condone and what he'd bless."
You know, you're right. Hey, excuse me, sir.
Yes, what can I do for you?
Yeah. So, what is Torm? What is he? I mean, well, I would know that, wouldn't I? I already know.
Yeah, like you would know that much.
Okay. So, what does he stand for?
And what's he stand against? Because if he's like some sort of weird neutral god and he does something shifty, like throwing rocks at a small child.
Courage and self-sacrifice. That's,
So
what I've got written
That's
down.
probably the basics, but is there anything like he's going to be like, ugh?
Let's see. Duty, loyalty, righteousness, and self-sacrifice.
So he's
Okay.
a good.
His symbol is a right hand gauntlet held upright with palm forward.
This is the hand of sorrow.
So basically, if he doesn't, no, that's just the palm. Right?
Well, technically,
if he doesn't like do anything shitty to people, and the god will be like him.
Right. Yeah.
so
just,
it's basically the character traits of my character, so I'll be alright.
Okay.
yes. Just
all right.
just don't go
I just wanted to be
stabbing
sure,
orphan
'cause he's-
children or something.
That's what the black sword's for. All right.
Oh no!
So we're gonna
Then you get
we're
points
gonna leave. We'll go back to meet up with old Stanch.
All right. So you guys leave the church and you head back to, I assume the Thundering Lizard is where you guys were going to meet up.
The green dragon.
Now I am going to spend some gold buying the finest ale or wine or whatever for the three of us. Just wanting to flaunt it.
Okay.
My character's really hoping that Stanch is going to appreciate the quality of it, but I have a feeling he's going to appreciate the quantity of it.
Is this our first time trying that soap?
Oh, that'd be a fun thing.
that you had told us about.
Right.
Less
That
popular beverage.
was
Za.
let's see here. It was chapter. It is Tej.
Tej.
Tej. And it's basically like a mead, right?
Right. And
Honey meat.
So
Why, this tastes like furniture wax.
yeah, it's an amber
Locals actually
colored,
like this swill.
an amber colored fermented drink made from honey. And you can get a 1 gallon cask for 2 silver.
All right, well, I get 3 of those, 1 for each of us, and then I kind of regret it because it's a lot more than I thought.
Also, can you roll me a
Oh no!
wisdom check?
Don't do this to me. No. Yes. Let me find myself. Okay, wisdom check. Oh no, that's my bad one.
All right, so
2.
so on your way to do this, like you had this overwhelming urge to spend, and you spent an additional 3 silver. You got these 3 fancy-looking little chests, probably about the size of your hand, from end of the palm to the end of the tip of your middle finger. And inside these chests are like little, it looks like little tiny excavation tools, like a little chisel and hammer. And
We might need this in the wilds, my friend.
you bought this knowing full well that it's magically imbued and contains a random prize inside each one. Ranging anything from just a simple little worthless trinket to very rarely like gold or something. Like
Or a gin.
So you have 3 of those in your inventory now as well.
Okay, cool. So, 3 worthless tool chests, for lack of a better word.
3 prize chests.
3 loot boxes.
Loot-
I thought we would
loot
stay away
boxes.
from loot boxes.
Loot crates. I got 3 worthless loot crates that I spent way too much silver for.
Alright.
And it didn't give me new attire or anything.
Stanch, you're there too, right? At the
Are they back at the? Maybe?
That's where we're at now, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
I'm there, but after talking with the father, I'm like feel kind of bad about drinking right now. And
Oh no!
He's just a little shaken. But let me say this though: I feel bad about drinking, so I'm drinking to feel better about it. It's not. Don't worry, he's not getting healthy about it.
Well, after feeling...
He just sort of like he feels weird that the father, because they sort of started out on a sort of put any sort of faith in him.
But Lorthas comes over. Here, I haven't a taste for this furniture wax, so here's your giant goblet and mine. They're both silver encrusted. Oh, very fancy. I'm sure you appreciate that. And I plop the 2 things beside you because Lorthas hates it.
Very kind of you, Lorthas. Very kind of you.
Yes, I always think of my friends.
I'm sure you do. I take a sip. It's damn good stuff, sir.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk over and just kind of slam down my empty mug because I already drained mine next to him and say, "All right, Stanch. Well, we should probably get rolling. Time to get over there and talk to Syndra and Wakanda. I'm really antsy to get out and get this quest underway."
Yeah,
So-
I think these other groups already have enough.
We lost you.
You just
These other
burped
groups
ferociously
already-
right there, my friend.
Anyways, these other groups have a head start on us, I feel like. So we need to get...
At least a 2 day
ooh.
head start on us.
The bar gets dead quiet, and Lorthas just says, "The game is on."
And Tabin just very solemnly says, "Just remember, when we're outside these walls, it's a marathon, not a race."
It's good. Good to know. That's a good point.
Slow and steady, unlike the dino debacle.
All right. Well, let's.
Goes fast and kind of not steady.
All right. Well, let's make a plan. Let's talk to Wakanda, check on Syndra, get our supplies, and get the heck out there.
I down the rest of the drink that Lorthas gave me, and stand up and pocket the other one.
I think he handed you like 2-gallon casks.
Oh,
I think
I misunderstood. I
still
thought
stands by his his word when he says that. It's my man.
I take like a good heartier swig than you would take.
I picture you downing one cask and you drinking half another one, like a hearty swig of the second one is what I picture.
So then, anyway, so I took a big swig and then stand up and hook
Refill
the
them.
2 onto my backpack. And
Refill
I
your.
love that.
All right.
I picture like a quiver, but like
But Stanch is basically a brewmaster now.
like
Um,
oh, I like the
actually
idea
am.
of you having a quiver that's like empty, and me and Genjo are like, why does he have a quiver? But it's put like liquor in. That's really good.
All right. So I guess we're gonna head up to Wakanda then.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna take my guy up there.
What did you learn about your sword?
Well, apparently it was blessed by the god Torm. Check my notes. Apparently it was blessed
So you
by
wanna-
the god Torm, and as long as I maintain basically who I am, I'll be fine. I don't know.
Hey, while this scene is going on, I'm going to
Sure.
take a restroom break real quick.
Okay.
Well,
I can't say that it really does anything yet that I haven't. I don't really know if it's got any sort of abilities to it, but as far as I understand it, it's unbreakable, so that's pretty good.
well, if it's from a false god like Torm, well, my thing.
Well, I guess we'll find out. And is there like a big rock anywhere as we're walking?
No. Yeah, there's no big rocks or boulders in town.
I just wanted to find something to slam the sword against really hard to see if it would break. Okay, as we cross,
you could like hold it like angled to the ground and ask one of them to like curb stomp it, I guess.
I don't want to snap anybody's ankles. We'll wait. So we'll get. I guess we're at Wakanda's house then.
What kind of guy?
All right, so I'm gonna wait till he gets
What
back.
What are we doing here? Just, I know we're checking up on Syndra.
Well, I got to get my other sword too.
Oh, that's right. You left your sword with. That's right.
Yeah, he was enchanting the silver sword for me.
Right. That was the cool thing with your sword just now.
Oh yeah, right. That was pretty great, dude. Like, I know that wasn't scripted, and that was 100% you. That was pretty neat.
All right, and I'll say, between the time you guys have been walking and the time he was waiting for you in the tavern, Stanch has had time to review the new texts that he received. And he's starting. He pretty quickly picks up and understands the early lessons of the book.
Yeah.
Now granting him to that spell list I brought up earlier.
Yeah. I'm really concerned about the one where I can't drink for 3 days before I use it. So I'm just sort of studying it harder and trying to figure out if there's any sort of desperate to find out if there's any way around that. Knowing deep down that there's not. So.
Let's see.
Hey, I had a question about that. Actually.
Yeah.
When it says the sacrifice, is that like a for
Is that what?
like the sacrifices you have to make?
Right. So
Is
basically,
that for like forever or for the spell or?
no. Okay. So, the ones that say damage are temporary. Once you take a long rest, those revert back.
Okay.
You have your abstinence cost, which means like you can't drink for 3 days prior.
Right.
Now there is ones that are a little bit more permanent further down. There's not just damage, but those can drain. Ones known as drain. Those are you have to get restored by like a high-end priest restoration spell.
Okay.
But like that doesn't appear. It looks like until 6th. Yeah, 6th level. Spells.
Alright, I'm back, by the way.
Welcome back. We were just talking about the powers that Stanch has now out of his book.
Oh, because that basically unlocks his other spell tier, or spell category, right?
No, it's like a separate thing.
Yeah, this is sanctified spells. They are teachings blessed by his god that are powerful, but they exact a heavy cost on him.
Now, does he have the same theme as Genjo, as if he chooses like morally questionable traits? Will that affect him badly, or
No.
or is this just like his endurance to?
Well, these spells have an effect on him, and if he does anything bad, they will literally move his alignment back to good.
Okay.
Like, you can't cast this and, not be affected and move towards good.
Gotcha. Okay. So he chose the light side.
Right. He very well could have used it in its corrupted state, and that would have slowly made him evil.
Okay.
Knock, knock, knock.
Who's
Anybody
that?
home,
Oh, wait.
Wakanda?
All right, so now that you guys have discussed that, you guys, you reach the door, and as you do, Tobin says, if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna wait out here. I'm not really in well with the merchant princes.
You should come on in with us anyway. He already knows you're working with us, and he...
You are
Hey,
one of
hey.
us, my dear boy. Your
Come on.
family. And I give him a really awkward, like, arm around the shoulder thing and pat him on the chest.
I just say I think you should stay. If it makes him uncomfortable, Tobin should stay.
Give me 1 second, because I still had him back all the way at the tavern.
When he says he'll stay, he'll stay.
At least he's staying at the right place, right? We can do some fun.
I know.
But the only proof it's brave and true comes from the Green Dragon.
What was that from? Is that
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. A little lesser known feature film called Lord of the Rings. It's directed by like a aspiring director, Peter Jackson. You know,
You may know him as PJ.
PJ.
Alright. So I guess I take my character to the door.
Where am I?
I don't see you, bro.
I'm
Oh,
lost.
there you are. There you are. You're at the door.
Okay. Oh, don't put me in the door. Those guys look scary.
Alright, so you guys are let in by the servants, and you're taken to the back room again, the meeting room.
Now, a question I do have about the servants is, like, their icons, like, super intimidating. Are they, like, guards, or are they just, like how do they look?
Well, those two at the door, those are guards.
Alright, so they have,
servants,
like, scimitars and, like,
ex-
some sort of
yeah.
armor and shit.
And meanwhile, but you're being shown around by, like, these really well-dressed servants.
Attendants. Okay, cool.
So as you guys enter the room, Wakanga, finishes talking to Cinder and looks in and is like, I'm glad you all could make it. And, Lorthas, yeah, you notice this time that the wine selection with your history, these are like the highest end you have ever seen. You quickly peruse through the wine list he has on the table.
Okay, so this is what Lorthas does. He grabs a glass of wine. He sits down. He's too scared to drink it. He's just like holding it. Because he doesn't want to embarrass himself by drinking the cheap wine, so he's just holding it.
Yeah, like you do recognize the brands, and you do know for sure this time that these are like the highest in quality. One of them, like you're almost sure, is a bottle that is almost as worth as much as your whole inheritance.
All right, now let's not get carried away.
I mean,
I out of character, I think it's funny that he's this rich, but yet we pour our own drinks. like he doesn't have somebody here pouring drinks for everybody. That's funny. Where's Stanch at? Is he coming?
Yeah, I couldn't find me on this thing.
Yeah, you're at the door.
You blend in
Oh,
with the...
I blend in with every...
Well, you're a dwarf, so like you have that whole stony vibe going on. I know he was going to help himself to the finest wines pretty quick. He puts himself on the wine.
All right.
Ooh.
Does he have snacks?
Good morning, Wakanda. Syndra, good to see you again. How are you feeling?
And okay, so in terms of the first question, yes, there's snacks on the table. It's early morning, so there's more like biscuits
Breakfast
and fruits and stuff. Bagels.
It's a fine spread, Wakanga.
Well, Kiki knows how to host. I will give him that.
Did anyone want to try and eat the snacks?
I'm eating the snack.
Yeah, I'll snack on some.
All right, so as you guys snack on it, like there's just like this insane burst of flavor coming from like every bite. Like these were made from the highest quality ingredients you've ever eaten.
My God, I wasn't even hungry, but then I take another shit or whatever.
I'm glad we decided to eat breakfast here.
No shit, kidding. Good call.
I take the most timid sip of my wine that I'm sure, or mostly sure, is a high quality wine, and the smallest bite of a cube of cheese.
You all right, Lorthas?
Yes, I'm fine. I just didn't want to intrude
wine.
like some people that may or may not be in this room, devouring that entire plate of.
Who are you talking about?
You don't have to get it on your beard. You're embarrassing us.
So as that's going on, Genjo, Syndra, she's looking really weak, and she looks at you and says, like, I'm still alive. That's all I can really hope for at this point. Have you guys made any progress in discovering the location of the Soulmonger?
Well, sadly, we're not. We haven't really gone outside of the city yet. We've basically been preparing these last couple of days.
We have, however, hired the most established guide of noble repute. His experience in tracking and experience is going to serve us very well towards that goal. And very soon, I'm sure we'll find it within a fortnight. I mean, does that calm you, Sydney?
So Tabin is just standing in the corner, just trying to not make eye contact with Wakanga. And
as I bring him up and tell me he's a guy, he hides behind a pillar.
And Syndra says, I do feel weaker by the day. However, Wakanga has helped me set up a will. In the likelihood that I do not survive.
Now, I was in a dino race the other day, and I felt fairly drained at the. I am now up to par, so I'm sure you'll come around. You're not in a will territory, surely not.
She coughs a little bit. It's like I appreciate the flattery, but the dino race is different from being.
It's called Dino Races. It's pretty intense. I mean, I'm just going to throw that out there.
Jesus.
And
my legs are chapped and
for a
sore
guy-
still.
For a guy who has the highest charisma out of all three of us.
It's how he presents it. It's not what he says. It's how he presents it. Facial expressions, hand gestures. He's just like he still has that bow-legged walk from like riding a horse.
It's been like days.
Shh! You don't have to point that out.
But yeah, we wanted to check in on you, Syndra, and I was getting a sword here from Makanda, and we were planning to head out this morning. So,
Syndra responds with, as I was saying, I have set up a will in case I do not live long enough.
Sorry to
see-
interrupt, by the way.
Oh my God.
She just kind of looks at you.
I do like the zipper in front of the mouth thing. Sit down and put my hands in my lap.
She says, so I have set up a will with Wakanga, and he will be the executor if I do not see through the destruction of the Soulmonger, to ensure that all adventurers still receive their pay.
well, at this point, I'm less concerned about the pay and more concerned about getting this done. So that's the forefront of my mind right now.
So that's a good mentality to have. Now, I have been researching quite a bit while I've been here. I may be bedridden, but that hasn't slowed my mind. Any information about the city of Omu is pretty sparse, even in historical texts. And they only really give few clues. Other than it's further to the south, near some mountains. They purposefully have obscured the location from history because of the temple to the mischievous gods that resides there.
Well, if there's a temple with mischievous gods, it's no wonder no one knows anything about it. We've asked around in town, and pretty much nobody has the slightest idea. So, south and west is about all we have.
And he said that's probably the best you're going to be able to find. You might be able to find more information once you're out there.
We'll be keeping our eyes open, that's for sure.
So as you're talking, a finely dressed servant enters the room with a really well-ordained carrying sword, but he's like holding it with like two cloths so as to not scuff the nice shiny silver on the scabbard. And he sets it on the table in front of you, Genjo.
Nice.
And Wakanga says, yes, your payment for that other matter.
Thank you. And I'm going to pick it up and unsheath it, look at it, flourish it, feel how it feels. The whole 9 yards.
Yeah. So
when you flourish it, Lorthas does a silent clap. He doesn't actually touch his hands. He goes as close to it as he can.
So you practice it for a moment. You swing it around, and it almost feels like it seems to cut through the air itself.
Nice. Very nice.
That's badass.
So I'm going to look at Wakanga and say, so you enchanted this sword with the ability to do what now? Just a quick reminder.
It says it was imbued with a minor teleportation spell, which can be used to teleport behind an enemy for a sneak attack.
What?
Also,
That's pretty wild.
by pouring its magic reserves, you can increase the sharpness of the blade by several fold, cutting even objects that should be uncuttable.
Very nice.
Lorthas and I look at each other
Like what?
like, what the fuck?
Like my right hand's over my mouth.
And just so that I know, out of character, my other two swords cannot receive enchantments, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah, they got their own things going on, but they can't just be regularly enchanted.
Right. Okay. So I'm just gonna. I guess I'm gonna add it to my. I now have 4 swords.
And
Lord.
he.
I'm gonna take I'm gonna take just the normal one that doesn't have anything special, and I'm gonna have it. Can I have it
No,
on my back?
Meltdown didn't want to get into the whole weight thing, but if you keep collecting swords at this rate, sir, it's going to be quite the challenge.
So I have the 3 on my side and the 1 on my back now.
Right.
Okay.
And you think you probably couldn't carry absolutely any more without encumbering your movement.
Roger that. Well, I'm only carrying it that way temporarily anyway,
Yeah.
so
I
I want to just throw it on his floor.
And Wakanga makes sure. One important note, though, about these enchantments: if you deplete the sword's mana reserve, it has a chance that it won't be able to recharge, and will lose its enchantments. In which case, you'll have to pay someone to re-enchant it.
How much would you charge for that?
So he was normally for these level of enchantments, I would run about 150 gold apiece.
I nudge Stanch and whisper like, "Oh, talking money already as a merchant." Huh? I see how it is."
So even though I'm offering to try to save your girlfriend's life, 150 apiece.
Ooh.
And he says that is the discounted price for you.
I see. All right.
Anyone else, it would run about 250 gold apiece.
All right. Well, I'm going to stand up and beseech Conda for a better price. Should I roll a charisma check for that?
Persuasion, yeah.
Persuasion. Okay, cool.
As a merchant prince, he's probably got a pretty high charisma.
Well, you know what? This I think Lorthas is a rival to this guy at this point. Persuasion check. That is a... What is that? 16.
16. So with that, he kind of considers it for a second, but he responds with like, no, I can't drop that any lower. I know you are trying to save Syndra's life, but I am also a merchant, and I do have to make a living.
Well, what if I were to, I didn't want to bring this out too soon, but I have this giant bird talon, a prehistoric thing, long dead to the ancient world. Priceless beyond account. I'd offer that to you in exchange for maybe half the price. Would you be interested?
So he inspects the item, and
And it is legit. Unless his investigation skills shit, he knows it's legit.
yeah, like I wasn't even gonna have a
Thanks,
roll for
Dungeon Master.
it. He rolled a 1. It breaks in his hand.
No!
And so he looks through it, and he inspects it as like, oh, this is pretty high quality. He's like, all right, if it comes down to it, then yeah, I'd be willing to take that trade.
I do grab Lorthas for a minute. Lorthas, I don't know if you were told, but our last little adventure, we did pretty well money-wise. Unless Genjo's really suffering. Unless you really want to get rid of your talon.
We don't really have to. I'm gonna pull both of them aside, so I'm just gonna. Like,
Okay, so we're huddling in the corner.
I'm gonna pull all of you. I mean,
I just feel like this would come in handy, but I'm
gonna say we don't really have to worry about it right now. It's only if the sword doesn't have any charges. So,
well, if this turns around and screws us, I just say we use it. But, I mean, I have this thing with money, but I just want to spend it, and I have this rare artifact, and it's in the satchel, and I know it will come in handy one day.
well, maybe you can use it to help pay for some of our supplies if you want to use it that bad. Speaking of supplies, we should definitely get some supplies.
All right.
So,
So we're
Syndra,
leaving.
Wakanda, it was good to see you guys again. Syndra, we're definitely going to be working on that. We're going to get some supplies right now. So,
Okay, so Lorthas pulls the talon out of his satchel and kind of waves goodbye over the back of his head towards Wakanda. Like tauntingly, because he knows.
I just picture Wakanda like John Hay.
Alright, so as you guys turn around, you see him wave you guys off, and he says, I wish you guys the best on your adventure.
Right on.
and I wish you the best in keeping that chair warm. Let's get out of here. I don't really say that.
I wish you the best on keeping that chair warm.